Okay, so what's up, YouTube? Wanted to talk about this Super Bowl, kind of a boring one, but still worth discussing. Um, a really interesting game. I think it's going to take a long time for us to get used to the fact that Patrick Mahomes can actually lose more than one Super Bowl. He did not play well. There was a lot of inconsistencies within their offense and their defense, but I think you really do have to give a lot of credit to Philadelphia. And I think that one of the things that no one's talking about is why can't Philadelphia start this mini dynasty that Kansas City was previously running or about to run? And it was just a really interesting game if you break down all the small little details. Patrick Mahomes never really found his flow state, where on the other hand, Hurts really found his. And it didn't necessarily come from passing for either of the quarterbacks, but for rushing, Hurts really found his stride, and Mahomes just wasn't able to really captivate anything, passing or running, or even those little, QB sneaks that he's able to read the defense. That was non-existent. There was no big time play where he was able to scramble out of the pocket to keep the game close. At the end of the day, Philadelphia was able to read everything. So anytime that Patrick Mahomes actually did find an edge, Philadelphia was already 2 steps ahead. So I just thought it was a really interesting game. I think you have to give a lot of credit to Philadelphia's defense. I think you have to give a lot of credit to to the running game with Saquon Barkley. Maybe he didn't have a crazy Super Bowl, but just the fact of him getting them to the Super Bowl, I think was big in itself. But I think Philadelphia, it was just their year. I mean, when you look at all their weapons, wide receiver, Brown, Smith, two really big time, wide receivers, right? When you look at their quarterback, obviously he proved that he's now an elite quarterback. When you look at their defense, they were able to match up to everything that the Kansas City Chiefs did offensively with Kelsey, Mahomes, you name it. So I don't think that this was really like a come from behind type story. I think in this Super Bowl, Philadelphia may have been the better team. And so it's going to be interesting to see as the years advance if Patrick Mahomes does have a shot to compete with Tom Brady, even though he still has so many years to go and he's not even 30. This was a pretty pivotal year because this kind of set him back a little bit. Although, for all those people out there who are doubting Patrick Mahomes, just know that he is still way, way ahead of where Tom Brady was at this point in his career. So I think that if you ever were going to look at some of the data behind it, you would see that Mahomes is still has plenty of time to catch up. But this was definitely a big setback because they had all the momentum. They had a chance to do something that was unprecedented, but just getting there was a huge accomplishment in itself. So this was a really interesting Super Bowl. I feel like the box score didn't do it justice. The game really probably should have been like 28-0 or 32-0, but nonetheless, still, kind of evened out at the end, but still kind of a good game in terms of offensive production for Philadelphia. So you don't want to discount that or take anything away from them. It's going to be interesting to see next year what happens. Still a lot of great quarterbacks in their prime. You got Burrow, Allen. Now you got Hurts added to that conversation. Of course, Mahomes, and then there's many others like Lamar Jackson and all that, and all those other quarterbacks that are just considered elite, in their categories. So it should be cool to kind of follow along next season. But I know that this was already a rematch of a couple years prior, but I would not mind, a third game, a third rematch, because this was really interesting to see how now both teams are 1-1. Could we maybe get one more in the next couple of years while both quarterbacks, Hurts and Mahomes, are in their primes? I think that's something really interesting to look out for. So just kind of wanted to do a quick recap, stay on top of making some of these videos. Going to bring some more sports content moving forward. And for now, we'll talk really soon.